Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Welcome the people from YouTube. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. All right, maybe we'll do that every time. So we'll start to learn the Hebrew a little bit. Shema Yisrael. And then Mario will bring his guitar and we'll start rocking out. Any other musicians here we should know about? Drummers.
You're a good percussionist.
Does a recorder.
Oh, really?
Every kid does a recording.
Okay.
We're going to start.
So-
I don't do the recorder.
Yeah,
They told me to pick a different
Yeah, me
instrument.
too.
I just went right into dance.
All right. Hopefully the sound will pick up here with this. All right.
I like starting with prayer.
And it's a great meditation. Welcome aboard, everyone. Rabbi Raps here, and today we're teaching Torah to humans, Torah to humanity. Say hello to our wonderful group of people here. I'm a little tied up now to the microphone, right? Say hello to our friends. All right. And who's watching and where are you watching from? What city, what country? Tell us a little about yourself and welcome to Torah for Humans, where we teach B'nai Noach. So I just want to say I'm really impressed with our B'nai Noach community because we had a barbecue for Lag BaOmer and you guys missed it. Maybe I forgot to invite you, sorry. But you got my emails.
When we had the accident where they hit the, it was Thursday.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same day.
And it was
Oh,
the same
I only
day.
picked up a little part of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you're excused. You're excused. So the grill was run by Tony. The cash was run by Cecilia, the treasurer, and then our security guard Dan. You actually put the sandwiches together for people, right?
And served
I
up.
put
And sir,
Yes.
and guess what? There was no complaining. Normally we do events. There's a lot of complaining, like I didn't get this, I didn't get, no complaining. I think we're onto something here, guys. B'nai Noach has taken over all operations of the synagogue. That's it. We trust you guys.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing. They know,
Yeah.
they know that we don't know what they're complaining about, so they'll still complain to you.
They didn't complain to me. No one complained to me. Okay, so what those words is Shema Yisrael, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. God is one. What does this mean? So on a childish level, it means there's one God and not two gods. There isn't, many gods like idols. But it's much deeper than that. When we're supposed to cover our eyes when we say it. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. What we're saying is God is one. One with everything. Everything is one with God, which means every person, every experience, everything has God in it. And we cover our eyes every day and we meditate on the oneness of God, how there isn't any situation that we're not meant to reveal God's presence in that situation. And no matter who we meet, that person's soul is a spark of God. That's why it's a very, very powerful, powerful verse. Let's see who's with us. We have someone from Santa Monica, California. We have, that's it. Only one person told us where you're from. No one else wants to tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're from, people. Don't be shy. And if you give us your actual address, we might actually fly down and spend the day with you. We're pretty pleasant. Thank you. Okay. So we're talking about the 7 laws of Noah. And I want to go a little more in depth because we've done the laws pretty superficial. And I'm using this, some of you have this book. I'm using this book. It's from Rabbi Moshe Weiner. It's the Divine Code, and it actually breaks down in details the 7 laws. So I wanted to go into, I'm going to take one of the laws. On the surface, it seems like it's a law that makes sure that we don't harm animals. And that's true, that's what it is, but it's a lot deeper than that. Okay. So permission and the prohibition for B'nai Noach regarding meat. There are some people that are vegetarians. There are people that are vegetarians for moral reasons. And that's very good for someone to be that sensitive to say, hey, do I have the right to eat the meat of a living being? Is that really okay? What does the Torah say? So I'm going to read to you a paragraph. Adam, the first man, was granted dominion over all living creatures, as the Torah states in Genesis, and you shall rule over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the sky and every living thing that moves on the earth. This dominion was granted to Adam and Eve, was only for using animals to perform useful tasks. But it was not, he was not permitted to kill any creature for food. However, he was permitted to eat from the carcass of an animal that died naturally. Just as Adam was not permitted to kill any creatures for its flesh, he was also not permitted to cut off any of its limbs during its lifetime. Now, this is not the law. This is the rule for Adam, but then things change. So, is it morally okay to eat food? Is it morally okay to eat meat of an animal? Some people would say it's wrong, it's immoral. It's a creature, and it has feelings. And if someone has that feeling, that's very sensitive to them. What does the Torah say? So actually, for starters, the Torah says Adam was not allowed to eat animals. He was if it died of natural causes, but he couldn't kill an animal. But that changes. In the Torah, after the flood, Noah was granted even greater permission than Adam. The dominion granted him, entitled him to kill any creature and eat its flesh, as the Torah states. Fear of you and the dread of you shall be of every beast of the earth and every bird of the sky. Upon everything that moves on the earth and upon the fish of the sea, in your hand they are given. So after the flood, God tells Noah, I'm giving you greater dominion. You can eat the animals. So the Torah allows the human being to eat the animal. However, a person has to have compassion in the way they kill the animal. It has to be done with a lot of sensitivity. Now, if you're Jewish, those rules are very strict, the laws of kashrus. But a person who's not Jewish has to just bear in mind, cause the least amount of pain according to your own understanding. Okay? There's a big discussion about the way we're raising cattle, the way we're raising chickens today. Not giving them any space to run around and right? And little shoe boxes. No, I would say that the Torah, it would seem from the Torah that that's wrong to overpopulate and make them suffer. Have to treat them kindly and not allow them to suffer. Okay, then obviously if there's an animal that dies naturally, you could eat the meat for sure. That's not a problem. Now here's the caveat. Here's the law for B'nai Noach. Noah was, however, forbidden to consume flesh that was removed from certain animals while they're still living. We'll talk about which animals fall into that category. Because Genesis 9:4 says, but the flesh, listen to this language, but the flesh with its soul, comma, its blood, comma, you shall not eat. The flesh with its soul. And the sages explain that means that when the soul is still present, the animal is still alive, you cannot remove the flesh from the animal. On a very basic level, it's unnecessary pain Now you can understand why people in the olden days might say, hey, I got this whole cow. My family can't eat the whole thing. I'll just take off one leg at a time each day. Today we'll eat one leg, tomorrow another. And then I'll preserve it for longer because there was no refrigerators back then. God says, I allow you to eat the animal, kill it in a way that causes the least amount of pain, and don't take flesh from it while it's still alive. Today it sounds so ridiculous, but once upon a time it was a very practical thing. But it's still, this law extends to anything we can do not to make animals suffer. Animals are God's creations, and they have feelings, and we can't just cause unnecessary pain. So we had the discussion, what about hunting? Hunting for fun is not something the Torah encourages. It's not clear if it's a complete prohibition, but the characters who are known as hunters in the Torah are not people that we look up to. Esav was a hunter. Nimrod was a hunter. So if someone is a hunter and they use every part of the animal for consumption and they use the skin, once upon a time, people used the skin for this and the hooves for that and the meat and the bones, everything was used. Try to kill the animal in the least painful way, for a B'nai Noach at least, and you're good.
It's actually really pure.
Yeah.
Like organic.
To use everything from the
Right,
animal.
but they've lived outside, so they're food sources. They've
Oh, you're saying the animal is healthier.
the animal-
It's not filled with
right,
antibiotics and all
right,
this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But just to go and kill an animal to hang its head in my living room, that's not something the Torah encourages at all.
Or to wear fur.
So fur is a discussion. It's a discussion because once upon a time, the fur was necessary to stay warm. Is it necessary to stay warm today? Probably not. But if the meat of the animal is being consumed and you're using the animal in real ways, and then you also use the fur, that's one thing. But just to kill the animal and take its fur, and that to me seems like it would be problematic. Now, for a Jewish person, we can't just kill an animal unless we slaughter it, we shecht it. That's a whole different discussion. Today, I'm talking about B'nai Noach. Okay. Let's see who's, let's see. We got a whole conversation here going on. Okay. I know of Tafik. That's a nice hat. Thank you. A deer is actually kosher, and it's very hard to slaughter the deer because the animal gets very tense. And it's hard to make the cut in a way that we believe is the least amount of pain, and that's the shechita way. And oftentimes you can't get a straight cut, windpipe, jugular at the same time on a deer unless you like raise it and it's not afraid of you. But if you raise a deer, who could kill it, right? Anyway, I'm talking about for Noahides, right? These are different laws than for Jewish people. That's right. Exactly. This class is Torah for humanity. So, Rabbi, I'm expecting a third child next month. I'm raising all three of my children as B'nai Noach. When it comes closer, when due, would I be able to have a blessing for a smooth and healthy childbirth? Absolutely. Please keep me posted. You can message me, or you can email rabbiraps@gmail.com, and we would be happy to make a special blessing in our synagogue at the Torah, and our B'nai Noach congregation you'll come for this blessing? Yeah, they say they're going to come. They're going to come for that. Okay? There you go. All right, guys. Let's keep going. Yeah. Let's see what we're up to here. All right, we got a couple people on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers, and we even have the Twitch. The Twitch B'nai Noach is still following, so
He's twitching.
it's still twitching. What's the sitch? Okay. There's always that one Twitch person. You see, it's worth having the account. All right. let's keep going. So we're really getting into like the laws. This is not like don't cut a limb. What's the background? So I want to pause and talk about another idea, and then I'm going to go more into this. Are we allowed to consume animals? Is that morally right? God tells Adam.
Because there's an overpopulation of deer, God forbid.
There's no what?
In certain areas, there's an overpopulation.
No repopulation. So that's a different discussion. Let's just talk about raising animals in healthy, like in a safe way, but then you eat them. Is there any? So the answer is God says to Adam, "You're in charge of the animals. You rule over the animals." And Adam wasn't allowed to eat meat, but Noach was. But what's the Kabbalah behind it? What's the spirituality behind it? The idea is, and this is a deep idea, God created everything in the world to be elevated. And you have the different forms of life. You have the earth or the stone, you have the plant, you have the animal, and you have the human. Now, if you ask some scientists today, they say, oh, human beings are just evolved animals. Torah doesn't have that view. Torah sees a human being as a different being, created in the image of God. Mr. Darwin, great theory, but a human being is not, according to Torah, just an evolved ape, created in the image of God. The job of a human being, starting with Adam and every single human being, including Bnei Noach and Jewish people, the job of a human being is to do what? Is to elevate the world. And so we spread out into the four corners of the world, and there's the domim, which is like the rock or the earth, and there's the plant, and there's the animal, and the goal is to elevate everything and make it holy, make it godly. Use it to fulfill our purpose of revealing God in the world. So let's start with the earth. If the earth gives forth to vegetation, and then I take an apple and I eat the apple, and I make a blessing, a Bnei Noach should be making a blessing on every food. I think I gave out cards a little while ago, right? So and then I take the energy from that apple, and I go around my day and I elevate people and I help people and I lift people up and I make the world a better place. What just happened is that apple had a spark of divine energy in it. And that the spark of divine energy, that spark was elevated and returned to its source. It fulfilled its purpose. Where did the apple come from? It came from the earth. And the earth is what gave its nutrients to the apple. That earth became elevated through the apple and through the human being. And take it a step further. You have the earth gives forth vegetation, and the cow goes and eats the vegetation, and then the human being goes in a way of not causing unnecessary pain, kills the cow, and then uses the meat, and because of that, lives an elevated life. The soul of the cow is elevated in the process. And I understand there are vegetarians following this. And I understand that people have their views. But it's worthwhile to understand the Torah's view of an animal, of the earth, of the plants, what our purpose is here. If I go and live a selfish life, or God forbid, even worse, a life where I harm other people, what gives me the right to eat the cow, to even eat the apple, to even walk on the sand of the earth? What gives me the right? As a human being, I can only do all this if I'm living for my purpose. And it's a fine line of what's selfish and what's not selfish, but that's why we come together and we study. That's why we meditate. That's why we pray. We're trying to refine ourselves. So we're people that could justify using other creations, because if we're not elevating it, we're dragging it down. Yes.
When you were speaking of the restriction of don't take a limb at a time. Don't,
Yeah,
create that suffering, long-term suffering.
right.
Before refrigeration, that would also have fed the whole village.
Right,
So creating a community of
for sure.
let's, roast the whole animal that it has been slaughtered. So
That's interesting. That's a very interesting thought. Thank you for sharing that. So you're saying that by forcing to use the whole animal, it requires for people to work together, bring other people in, feed other people. Don't let it go to waste. Might as well give it to someone else. But when I live a life where I cut one limb at a time, I end up living a very set. I'm just taking care of me and my family. That's a beautiful thought. I never heard that before.
But
I
was
appreciate
done-
that.
I heard it because Taino
Yeah.
from the Caribbean used to do that.
Yeah.
take a limb at a
Kill
time.
and feed the whole.
The whole tribe would eat together, right?
Use everything.
Like the Paschal
Bones,
lamb.
Use the
It was
bones,
done-
Use the
Elves
skin,
did the same.
use everything.
Absolutely.
So they practice that a lot.
I've heard that idea in Kabbalah class. Could Adam be spiritual creation that animals can evolve to eventually, meaning
And they-
as above,
different gods, too.
so below, meaning if the animal elevates its soul, then it becomes. Oh, you didn't finish your thought. Eating the apple means that knowing between good and evil and knowing consequences, therefore having morals. Yes, and that's a whole different discussion. At the end of the day, it seems like the whole forbidden fruit was a setup and we were supposed to eat from it anyway. We got punished for it, but I kind of feel like that was the world was supposed to be this world that's a challenge to elevate versus living in utopia forever, The goal is to bring us back to utopia, but I kind of feel, according to many of the commentaries, it was all a setup. We weren't supposed to stay there forever.
I think my favorite commentary was recently, maybe in the last couple of weeks, where Adam wasn't angry. He was complaining about paradise.
Yes, exactly. Someone's asking, does the soul of the animal after being eaten become part of us somehow? It's an interesting concept. Like literally the flesh does become part of us. We become like the protein becomes us. And spiritually speaking, we elevate the animal. Does it become part of us? I'm not sure. It's a good question, a little above my pay grade, but that is a more of a Kabbalistic question. Does the animal become part? Does the soul become one with the human? I know it gets elevated through the human. Yeah. Right. So really, we should. Do you have those cards I gave you? Because I gave out cards. Yeah, they had the blessings for every kind of food.
Is it on the other side of was it the same?
It was like there was a prayer on one side. Yeah, I don't know if I have any more, but I can bring you more. But the cards had every single kind of food. A person who considers them a B'nai Noah, considers themselves a B'nai Noah, is not obligated to do this, but would want to. Thank God for each different kind of food. There's a blessing for something that grows in the ground versus something that grows on a tree versus wine versus bread. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And that's just a really great way to live mindfully. So, yeah. Oh, you have it.
Has Asher Yatzar.
All right, that's a different one.
That's a
Yeah.
different one. So I didn't get the prayer that I should be doing.
All right. Maybe it was
I love it.
a photocopy. So
We get it?
I'll look it up again.
Please.
It is on Chabad.org, the blessings on foods. And it's the same for B'nai Noach
Okay.
and for Jewish people. All right. So, all right. So here's my challenge to the new B'nai Noach recruitees, those that want to identify as a B'nai Noach, as a person that follows the 7 laws of Noah. There is a different blessing that could be made, thanking God for the different kind of foods that we have. Foods that grow on a tree, fruits that grow from the ground, bread, so on and so forth. Print out a list of them and give yourself the challenge today. Every time you eat, and this is per meal, not like every bite, you make a blessing on the appropriate foods. You stop for a second and you acknowledge that this is a gift from God. We live in a time, thank God, that most people in the United States are not starving. In fact, collectively, we might have too much food, but that's another discussion, right?
The distribution is off kilter.
We waste.
We waste too much food, put it that way, yeah, right. We definitely waste too much food.
So is that 4 prayers I gotta do on a pepperoni pizza?
And a pepperoni pizza. So you could eat a pepperoni pizza as a B'nai Noach. There's nothing wrong with eating the pepperoni or the cheese and meat together. For our Jewish members, that is a Torah prohibition. But so what would you do? So great question. If you're eating something that has bread on it, you make the hamotzi and no other blessings in the meal. The bread is the most important. So what blessing does a B'nai Noach make on a pepperoni pizza? That's great. And the answer is, right. And the answer is a B'nai Noach can eat a pepperoni pizza. That you don't have to keep kosher. But if you wish to make a blessing, you would bless the hamotzi on the bread. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. God, that you bring forth bread from the earth. And because you make hamotzi, whenever you make the blessing on bread, no longer do you have to make any other blessing on any other food group in that meal, because the bread is the most prominent. So the blessing on a pepperoni pizza for a B'nai Noach is hamotzi lechem baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Lord our God, creator of the universe. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, that you bring forth bread from the earth. And then you wouldn't make a blessing on the pepperoni, you wouldn't make a blessing on the cheese, you wouldn't make a blessing on the ketchup.
Oh, I was being a bad boy.
But if you don't have bread in your meal, right? Because you're on the keto diet, all right? Low carb.
My gun scrape and leave the dog there.
Right. So, by the way, there are people that are Jewish that are coming onto this live, and they're like trying to figure out what is going on here. Because
No. The reason I say that is I have dear friend. I will not expose the name.
I just let me finish the thought. Whoever you want, this is a class for B'nai Noach. I teach Torah to humanity, and a B'nai Noach is supposed to make a blessing before they eat. I know it sounds crazy, but no one else is doing this. Yeah, someone just wrote keto. Yeah, what were you going to say?
So my friend, we met at a restaurant. I was eating pepperoni pizza, and I know they kosher. And his wife says, "Can I have a piece?" I said, "Sure." And then I'm like, "Oh." But now I learned that.
Yeah,
you
went
to. And I was like saying,
Wait.
"I need they kosher. She's eating pepperoni."
No, you can't. A kosher person can't eat kosher. Can't eat pepperoni. No. I said a B'nai Noach is not Jewish, is allowed to eat pepperoni.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, you as a B'nai Noach have a unique opportunity to inspire our dear kosher, our dear Jewish brethren who aren't keeping kosher. You as B'nai Noach, let's show everyone who's here. This is the B'nai Noach community, all right? They are not Jewish, but they love God, they love Hashem, and they follow the Torah. Sorry, I want to get myself together here.
Cheese pizza.
But she's not meat and cheese. Meat and cheese is not good.
I know. They don't. I know. Because I know they're from Joey, that they eat hamburgers, but they don't eat cheese.
But
Right.
pepperoni is pork, so that's another reason.
Right, so we don't mix milk and meat together. So pepperoni is pork. Pepperoni pizza is very treif. A Jew can't eat it. Okay, but you as a B'nai Noach,
Turkey
you-
product, pepperoni, no.
that would be okay. Well, no. We even a bird, and we don't. That's considered meat, according to the laws of kosher. Not biblically, but rabbinically, because it's too close.
Okay.
Okay, you as B'nai Noach have an opportunity to turn to our Jewish brethren who are not keeping kosher and say, the Torah doesn't allow you. And I want to tell you something. They will listen to you more than they listen to the rabbi. And I'll tell you a true story. I'm going to tell you a true story. There's a guy in our community, Arthur Sherman. We call him the Hoagie Rebbe. I'll tell you why soon. Arthur Sherman used to call himself a pork fresher, which means he would just eat pork like crazy. He even had a Philly sub steakhouse with provolone cheese and ham in Brooklyn, and he would make the sandwiches. And he had a Rastafarian guy working for him, And one day he describes how he was making the most perfect sandwich and he couldn't wait to eat it. And he picked it up and it was like the perfect balance. And when he talks about food, let me tell you something. And he's about to eat it. And the Rastafarian guy's watching him and he says, you know, Arthur, you shouldn't be eating ham. And he put down the sandwich. He said it felt like a slap across his face, like God just whacked him. He says, I heard my bubby. I heard my rabbi. I heard everyone tell me you don't eat ham. Nothing. I heard the Rastafarian guy tell me. And it's like, what are you going to say to him? And they don't eat ham, by the way. And here I'm a Jew and I'm following, and the Torah says it, but I don't care. And the Rastafarian guy reads the Old Testament. He doesn't eat ham. Again, I just want to reiterate, a B'nai Noach is allowed to eat ham from the Torah perspective.
One of the purposes of no pork
Yeah.
was in rural communities, island communities. Wild boar would have been the source of pork.
Right.
But wild boar will eat human remains, so they would possibly
Oh,
be ingesting human.
like being a cannibal.
Yes, and that is why, in especially the Caribbean culture,
Right.
because that potential. Like Uncle Joe went missing 2 weeks ago. You know,
Uh,
you don't know.
yeah, it might have eaten Uncle
wild
Joe.
boar will kill human.
That's terrible. Well, the end of the story. The end of the story is Arthur is today a Orthodox Jewish man, and he says his life turned on a pork and cheese hoagie sandwich because of a Rastafarian fella.
Yeah.
So you guys literally have the ability to inspire our Jewish brethren because they can argue with the rabbi, but they can't argue with you.
But on the documentary that we saw Stockton presenting, survivors of the Holocaust
Yeah.
ate pork, and they said we
Yeah.
had no choice. They had
Right.
no choice.
So
we needed to survive.
So when it comes to life and death, this is very interesting. When it comes to life and death, we're allowed to break all the laws except 3.
That's
What are those
killing
three?
another.
We can't kill another person to save our life.
That's
We can't bow down to an idol if someone puts a sword to our throat or convert. And the third one is immodest relationships. If someone forces us to have a relationship with someone that is forbidden or is married or something like that, we would give our life for those 3 things. But for a pork sandwich, no problem. I'm saying if we were in the desert and the only thing we could eat, and it's been 20 days, we don't know when we're going to get our next meal.
That's what they said. They were like, we didn't know what was the
Right.
next meal we needed to eat.
But if you see someone sitting in a restaurant in Margate and they're like, I didn't eat since breakfast, that doesn't count. All right?
This breakfast was probably bacon also.
And I'd like to get a report from my B'nai Noach community. How many pork fressers did you stop this week? Next week, there's not going to be a class because of Shavuot.
Okay.
Next week is the day, on Monday, we read the 10 Commandments from the Torah.
What time is it?
And the 10 Commandments are read on Monday. We start about 10 o'clock because we're up all night the night before.
From Sunday?
Yeah, we stay up all night. That's another thing. I'll talk about that soon. And then the next morning, 10 a.m. we start services. I'd say about 10:30-ish, we read the 10 Commandments. And I think that someone who considers themselves a B'nai Noach may want to be present for the reading of the 10 Commandments, because as we learned before, the 10 Commandments was the time that God made the 7 laws of Noah an obligation for humanity. And not only that, that's when the human mission began,
Wow.
both for Jewish people and for Gentile people.
Do you read the commandments?
I'm going to have either Rabbi Mendy read it, myself read it, or my brother Shalom. And it gets really quiet, and he reads, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. He reads each one. Yeah, I'm the Lord your God. Don't steal.
That
Don't.
first word
Is Egyptian, actually.
cool.
The word Anochi is Egyptian, which is a great lesson.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anochi.
If the Ten Commandments is so important,
Yes.
why in the Torah did God say the first word in Egyptian and not in Hebrew?
Yeah.
The first
Because
one,
it's
I am.
talking to us.
Oh,
And
very
he
good.
turned it into
that's why I think this is a B'nai Noach message. It's
Oh, it's
amazing,
great.
right? The first of the Ten Commandments was said by God, not in Hebrew, but in Egyptian, which was the power culture. It was the power language of the time, the greatest, the most powerful nation at the time. And God said, I am the Lord, you're the God. Anochi Hashem Elikecha, and the first word, Anochi, is Egyptian. Why? Because-
They had false gods.
Because they were the first ones who need to hear it.
Right.
The Egyptians were steeped in idolatry. More than that, they were steeped in serving themselves and ego. And they allowed human beings to be slaves and suffer as long as they lived in lavish luxury. They lived in unbelievable blessing and luxury because of the blessings of Jacob. Jacob made the Nile River rise to the feet of Pharaoh, and they started to live in such abundance. And you would think someone that's so blessed, yeah, you would think someone who's so blessed, they would go and help others. No, they enslaved the people who blessed them, the Hebrews, the Jewish people. Anyway, so the first of the Ten Commandments is in Egyptian because it's a message for everyone, especially the Egyptians to hear. The Ten Commandments is a message for humanity. It's the beginning of the mission of the 7 laws of Noah. It's when humanity became it's when humanity could become B'nai Noach. You would think the first word should be Hebrew. No, Egyptian. That was the like the English of the time. Today, like anyone who wants what's the most universal language? Or English, Spanish? I don't know. What would it be? What? Neck and neck, right? Egyptian was the big language back then. Wow, we missed a lot of comments here. Sorry, guys. I wish I was there with you. You are here with me. Okay, we do not eat turkey, pepperoni, and cheese. That's right, because fowl is considered meat for kosher eaters because of the rabbis made it. Are Israel laws from them being the priests of nations, since with Israel and the Levites have different laws since they are priests. Priests Kohanim have unique laws. Like they can't go, we just read this week's Torah portion. You can't go into a cemetery. Yeah. So I was under the impression that a Gentile can't scold a Jew on Judaism. I don't know. I kind of feel if it works. Not scold. By the way, we never scold. We inspire with love.
Fire.
Engage in
With
question.
intelligence.
Tell me again, what's
Yeah. How can we get the blessing? All right, reach out to me privately. I'll give you the blessing for the baby, God willing.
That's wonderful.
All right. So we did a lot. We went very deep today. A lot of stuff, right?
I got a question. So when
Yeah.
they eat, this is separation of time before you can eat like cheese?
Yeah. For a kosher observant,
Kosher?
you have to wait between meat and cheese. I wait 6 hours. Some people wait 3 hours or 1 hour. I wait 6 hours for the taste to dissipate in the mouth.
So they can't be
Right.
together.
Right. Cheese, however, then meat, you only have to wait a short amount of time. Or some people, just an hour for cheese than meat. But we won't make a lasagna with meat and cheese. We won't eat cheeseburgers or pepperoni pizza or anything like that. And again, that's a Jewish law. It's not B'nai Noach law.
Wait till she notices, and Moses is a couple minutes late. Oh my God.
All right.
And Aaron listens to all of the, never mind.
Right.
It's really.
So the language of the Torah says, but the flesh with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat. So like when the soul is in the blood, it's alive, that's when you can eat it. In Hebrew, the prohibition against eating a limb from a living animal is either min hachai, which means a limb from the living. Aver is a limb. Min means from. Hachai, a living animal. Okay.
And it almost makes sense. You have to eat a live animal to get life from the flesh. There's something that's not,
People, right? People would eat organs, and they eat, right?
you know what I mean? Like there
In those
is-
days, yeah.
It's not as much cruel as
Someone's asking about shellfish. Yeah, so shellfish are not kosher. A Jewish person would not eat shellfish, but a B'nai Noach would eat shellfish. The question is, the question, not you, right? But by the way, I took one of those.
Challenged with that.
I took one of those tests, for what you're allergic to. They prick you with a bunch of things, and they said I was allergic to shellfish. I started.
Sorry.
It's funny. I started laughing, so they were asked me, "Why are you laughing?" So looks like I lost the feed here. Hold on, guys. I'm coming back.
When it comes to fish, dozens of
Fins and
fish.
scales.
When they're trying to talk to
Fins
me.
and scales.
No, my question is, does the fish go through the same process as the meat?
Too much in their
Now you have to kill.
No, a fish, according to the laws of kosher, you could kill a fish anyway. Trying to fix this here. Hey guys, I'm trying to fix my camera. I don't know what happened. Switched cameras. All right, I'll just do this. I'm using the other camera. It's not as good, but it'll do. If you leave go, does it fall?
I'm gonna hold it. So
No, you don't have to hold it the whole time. There you go. Okay. Yeah, so you could take a bat, hit a fish over the head. It has different, by the way, Aver min hachai does not apply to fish. Obviously, you shouldn't cut parts of the fish off, but if it happened, it's okay. You could eat it. So if you're at a party and everyone's having steak and they're like, yeah, this is Aver min hachai, isn't it great? I got the life force out of it or whatever. So you'd be like, I can't eat this. I'm a B'nai Noach. You put it down, right? Even though it wasn't you and it happened already. If it's Aver min hachai, it's forbidden. We can't benefit from an animal that suffered that way. Fish don't fall in that category. So I would say, you wouldn't cut off part of a fish and eat it while the fish is still alive. That would be cruel. We're not allowed to make it. But if you're at a party and they were someone served it to you, don't they in these restaurants, in these Far Eastern restaurants, they cut off the tentacles of an octopus right in front of you, or crab legs while it's walking. I've seen videos like that. Yeah. So if someone did it and now it's removed already, a fish is not prohibited. An animal is something that the soul is in the animal. A fish, apparently, and I could research it a little better. If Tony was here, he would answer. You're a fisherman too, right? It doesn't have the same. He's not a. His wife says, "You're not a fisherman."
Not me.
Tony, weren't you going? The whole Shabbos you were talking to Tony about fishing.
I've been fishing.
Okay.
She doesn't.
So now you know when he says I'm going out to learn Torah, he's fishing with Tony. Okay. Is Gematria canon in Orthodox Judaism? Yeah, we learn Gematria. Sure. Gematria is one of the ways we decipher the Torah. Okay. So
raw fish is okay.
raw fish is okay. If it happened, it's okay. Yeah, but you shouldn't be the one to do it if you don't have to.
fish.
If you thought you hit the fish over the head, right? And you thought it's dead, and then you start cutting it up and you take a piece for sushi, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I messed up. I didn't hit it hard enough. Okay, so you could eat the meat because a fish doesn't fall into that category. Right, okay. I think, and because the veins in a fish, the blood in the fish might be in the fish everywhere as opposed to only in the veins like an animal. There's something to do about the soul in the flesh, that language the sages decipher to mean a fish is not such a creature. Okay. After Noah left the ark, humans were granted permission to kill any animal for food, for the use of their body parts, for beneficial purposes. But we're never allowed to injure, kill, or cause suffering to an animal. I know we said this, I'm just going over everything. For this reason, it's forbidden to skin an animal while it's alive, also.
So if you hunt and the animal goes away, which a lot of times I've seen on TV, it goes away, you must follow that animal until you find it
So
and kill it properly.
I would say if you injure an animal and it gets away and you think it's going to die anyway, not live, you don't want it to suffer. You would follow it, yeah. You know, anything you want to try to get that clean shot. Again, not a Jewish person, but someone who's been a Noah. A Jewish person wouldn't allow to go hunting because we have to
You
kill
guys
it
don't hunt.
with a knife.
You don't hunt.
It generally no. It's not a clear prohibition, but generally no. It's definitely scorned upon. You know. Birds are also in the category of Aver Min HaChai. You cannot take off a wing. It's the same thing.
But they did give sacrifices. So they were taking.
Oh, they had to slaughter an animal first. But you couldn't take off a limb when you did the sacrifice.
Burn them alive.
No, you couldn't
Right,
do that.
so
Yeah.
They had to be killed compassionately. Even
A
to be-
bug, an insect, does not fall into this category. And I would say a sheretz. A sheretz is like anything that's like a lizard, a snake, a centipede. That doesn't fall into the category of Aver Min HaChai. And also a sheretz is like a mouse. A bigger rodent would be like a beaver, but a mouse wouldn't fall into this category of Aver Min HaChai. Who is eating a mouse? I don't know. Who's preserving a mouse like that? I don't know. But the Torah is very specific about what falls in this category. Now, again, we're not allowed to just hurt animals or bugs or anything for no reason. But if it happened and someone was consuming it, that's not a prohibition. It's a Bnei Noach has given only 7 laws. But they all have to be followed. There's no like, oh, I do 5 out of 7. I mean, obviously we try to like grow and be there if we can, right? But like the goal to be a Bnei Noach, you got to follow this properly. So maybe it'll come up one time if, I don't know, let's say you're eating crabs and an arm came off while it was alive, right? Bnei Noach could eat crabs. An arm came off while it's alive. I'm a Bnei Noach. Oh my gosh. Or Aver Min HaChai. No, a crab is not one of these creatures.
Is there a kosher locust?
There is a insect, a certain kind of locust that is kosher.
Yeah.
There is. And there's a guy in Israel that wants to send me a bunch because he wants me to sample it and promote it on my Instagram. I'm not eating bugs.
If you're not kosher, you can eat anything. If
What?
you don't follow the kosher
Yeah.
tradition, you can eat anything. Even if you're a Jew.
No.
If you're a Jew, you should keep kosher.
These are
But
the same
if
things.
you decide not to, then you can eat anything.
You shouldn't be.
Well, you could just go in Margate.
But you're not
Look at all the Jews in Margate and what they're eating. You have a big job to do this weekend, Memorial Day.
I gotta go.
He's going to be walking around with a
I gotta
stick,
go with it.
whacking people. Hey,
No pepperoni. Hey.
give him a salad. Give him a salad.
These aren't the same locusts left over from the plague, are they?
No
I think
shrimp.
it's the same kind, actually.
No meat and cheese.
No,
No
no
meat
meat
and
and cheese.
Nope.
That's my duty this week. I'm gonna go to the weekend. I'm like, no.
Whatever.
Just like signs.
If you would know the harm that cheeseburger is doing on your soul, you wouldn't eat it. Who are you, a rabbi? Nah, I'm not Jewish. How do you know about this?
I'll let him.
I go to Rabbi Raps's class.
I let him open his mouth and I'm like, no. When he put the cheese in his mouth, I'm like, no.
No, when they're ordering, stand next to the waitress. No.
All right, my friends. I'm going to continue more next. Well, hopefully in 2 weeks. What's in 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
Next week is.
Shavua. Oh, wait,
Memorial Day, and then.
Oh, so
do we have class on Memorial Day?
Shavuot.
I would think that people are busy on Memorial Day, right?
Shavuot's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
You
thought this.
jumped me right-
I'm
I'm
sorry.
already,
I
like,
mixed it
coming
up.
next
I
on
mixed it
paper.
up. Yeah.
Midnight reading.
All right, friends. Lucas surprise. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed our schmooze. Next week, Shavuot in 2 weeks. We want a class. Next week is a question. Yes, Dan is going to let us know if we have a class. Take care.
I have to say that about a month before Passover, we started doing Mary's Calendar.